great news, Ross, about your wedding. Who knows what might come. All right, so tonight begins the first evening of Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights. And so to get started today, I'm going to actually invite Richard Rosenberg up to the platform. And he's going to light the Shamash candle and the first night of Hanukkah, and he's going to do a prayer for us. Are you going to need the microphone or say it loud?
I'll say it loud. Is that loud?
Can you all hear him if he just talks
Hello.
That's a rule.
Thank you, Pat. So, Sean asked me to go back into my childhood, and I've always known this prayer. I thought that I'd do it today as well.
Yeah.
But you light the shamas, which is the lighting candle, and the prayer is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshana b'mitzvaso v'tzivanu mahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. And it's the celebration of the lights. Happy Hanukkah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then I'm going to tell you the English translation of what he just said, the prayer he just recited. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with your commandments and has commanded us to kindle the lights of Hanukkah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who wrought miracles for our fathers in days of old at this season. That's part of every single night of Hanukkah, and then only for the first night, which will be tonight. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us alive and has preserved us and enabled us to reach this time. To our Jewish sisters and brothers, we honor your Hanukkah traditions. Lately, there's been this thing percolating inside me. You've often heard me say in our prayers, turn into the God of your understanding. And when I found this philosophy, I was so grateful to find the God of my understanding. And then I realized there was still this little piece of not always, not deeply, authentically honoring everybody else's. On some level, yes, respecting it, but just there's been this thing stirring in me lately that says, really, what would that mean? What would that look like? To honor the God of somebody else's understanding, even if it looks completely different than mine. And so I'm coming from that place today, where as we honor this may not be the path that I follow. Richard grew up with this path, and so that's part of who he is. I may not completely understand it, and I may not study it deep enough to understand it. But there's this really special place inside that is allowing me to honor the God of somebody else's understanding in a brand new way. And so I just wanted to share that, because when I say to our Jewish sisters and brothers, we honor your tradition, there's really a sense of honoring that tradition today. So we honor that tradition of Hanukkah. I think everybody knows the story. The one main point of the story was that they expected light for one night, and they got 8. Hence the 8 places for the candles. They experienced it as a miracle. The expectation of 1, but they got 8. What I know about religious stories and traditions and things of that nature is some of them are factual, some of them are embellished, some of them are mythical. But underneath any of those 3 factors, there's always a metaphor. Always a metaphor. In every single religion, in every single story, legend, fact, there's a metaphor to be had. And so, of course, that's where I'm going to go with this, is the metaphor of they expected one night, and they got 8. There was more than they thought, which is my title for today, is more than we think. There was way more than they thought. They experienced it as a miracle. But if there's only one source, then there is always more God. There is always more light, more good, more resources, more love, more beauty, more joy. There is always more than we tend to think. Always more. Now, some of us make a daily practice out of thinking about the more. Some of us are still learning to make that a daily practice, to think about the more. It feels so good to stop and think about the more. There's more than I think going on. There's always more God-light. I might expect 1 and I might get 8. Can I expect the 8 to begin with? Thinking of what the more is, there's always more. And yet on our human, earthly, day-to-day lives, we get so many distractions. And if you can see this in writing, it would be S-O-O-O-O. So many distractions that pull us out of the alignment with the truth, that there is only one source, and there's more of it than we think. Those distractions might look like trying to make a living. It might look like bad news on the TV. It might look like corporate greed that pushes our buttons. It might look like politicians that we go, what? Because we don't agree with that at all. It might look like people suffering. It might look like, I can ask you to fill in all those blanks. So many distractions that say, well, that doesn't look very godlike. And that doesn't look very godlike. And, everywhere we look, that doesn't look very godlike. And those distractions can pull us so far out of alignment of the truth that there's always more godlike. Ricky Byers-Beckwith, Michael Beckwith's wife and music director of Agape, wrote a song a long time ago. It's called Spirit's Calling Me. But the part of the song that speaks to me, that I hear in my head, she has this part, and she starts mentioning these things. For instance, the pain of the body. There is more than this. The loss of a loved one. There is more than this. In other words, she starts naming all these struggles. There is more than this. And then she starts to name even joyful things. A newborn baby. There's more than this. The joy of falling in love. There's more than this. So she goes through sort of the negatives, the distractions, and there's more than that. She goes through all the good stuff and says there's even more than the best thing we can think about. That song floods me at times where I'm feeling down or confused or frightened. Songs fill me all the time. That's how I get messages a lot. It's by music. And that song reminds me, oh yeah, there's more than this. Whatever this current struggle or confusion or fear that might happen, and yes, I get them too. We all do. We're human. And yet we are more than that. We are more than the finite. We see ourselves as this body. I didn't know the emotion was going to come like that. This body feels sometimes vulnerable, and it feels sometimes less than, and it can be scary. And we look around at things I named around us going on, and it can feel scary, it can feel vulnerable, it can feel frightening. I'm trying to pick that song that says, when I'm feeling frightened and confused. There's more than that. I am more than that. We are more than that. Because who we are is part of that one source. The I am of me, the infinite of me. Ernest Holmes says, we cannot contract the infinite. Can you see it this way? The infinite, we can't make that any smaller. Because the infinite can't be contracted. But we, as the seemingly finite, can be expanded. And that's what we're asking ourselves to do, to expand that feeling of I'm just a finite, human, limited human being to something that's greater, that says I am more than that. I am more than the pain of the body. I am more than the things that confuse me, or I'm more than those things that pull me out of my alignment. Those things that distract us so far off of our center that it looks like that is real. It takes a lot of conscious awareness and conscious choice to get back into alignment, to be able to look